Welcome to Up to the Minute. It is Wednesday, July 22nd. We're very happy to have you with us. We've got your HCC news and information for the next half hour or so. Two very special guests, but first I want to introduce Brittany Pacheco joining us from her home. Good morning, Brittany. How are you doing this morning?
Good morning, Todd. With this weather change, I've been feeling a little under the weather, but no Rona. Knock on wood, everyone. Knock on wood for me, please, please. But I'm going to refer to myself as Brittany number one today, and we'll get to that in just a second. But for everyone joining us on Up to the Minute, thank you so much for spending the morning with us. Be sure to like us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Head over to our YouTube channel, subscribe, hit that notification bell so you can be the first to find out the latest from HCC. And last but certainly not least, please share this podcast. That way we can grow our audience.
That's right. Today, it is the tale of two Brittany's. More on that in a moment. But first, I want to introduce our police chief, HCCPD Chief Greg Cunningham, joining us for his Wednesday segment. Good morning, Chief.
Morning, guys. How's everybody doing today?
We're doing very good. It's good to see you on this Wednesday. Brittany, our own Brittany here at HCC, she's always excited you're here on Wednesdays because, Brittany, why is that?
Because that means we're halfway through the week. Yes.
Always nice to be the marker for the hump day.
There you go. Well, Chief, we're glad to have you with us. We'll be with you in just a moment. But first, we want to introduce a young lady you've probably seen before in Channel 13. She was one of our own HCC, worked with us at HCCTV right now. She's now the digital producer for ABC 13, a former success story. Well, we'll just say a success story for HCC. Brittaney Wilmore, welcome to the show, Brittany.
Hi, guys. Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to be part of this. And I do want to say, Brittany, you are number one. Brittany Pacheco, you are number one.
Oh, I love you, Britt. B-Dub, my partner in crime.
Yes.
Well, it's good to see you guys catching up. And we want to catch up with Brittany because I know you're very busy these days. Before we tell us about your role at ABC, because you've got a role where you're the digital producer for the website, but you also appear on the newscast as well.
Yes. So as digital producer, we do all types of things, as you said, for the website, writing stories, social. So that keeps us very busy. Like today, we've got kind of a lot of breaking news going on, if you've kept up with anything, as far as what's going on with the Chinese consulate here in Houston. So that's taken a lot of the morning. Sure. So aside from that, though, there are so many different platforms that we have to make sure we're on top of. You see the social icons behind me there, you know those well, right? Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Snapchat, all of that. And then, as you mentioned, yes, I also have the opportunity to be part of the morning show. So every morning, Monday through Friday, I am on, usually I do 2 live shots between 5 and 7 a.m. on whatever the news of the day is. So it definitely keeps me busy.
I know it's busy. Newsrooms, I always told folks, newsrooms run at about 150 miles an hour, okay? And you do that for several years. When I left news, it took me about 2 years to just decompress and to just, whoa, I'm not on that type of deadline anymore. But really, that deadline does keep you on your toes and keeps you moving. Let's talk about your journey to ABC 13 because you started at HCC, and I understand you also had some help from the foundation getting through school.
Yes, I think the foundation really kind of set me on my way with that because I started off as a scholarship recipient. That is actually how I met your co-host, Brittany. We were both scholarship recipients, and I believe I went to, wasn't a luncheon, but they have different events for students and you get to meet the donors and say thank you. And I let them know, like, I want to be involved in broadcast journalism. I'd love to be on TV someday or reporting in some capacity. And so they connected me to the head of communications at HCC at the time, who then told me about the then president of the station, Deborah McGoy. So I met up with her, and that kind of helped me get in the door with the station.
And tell us about some of the things you did while working for HCCTV, because I know you were here for a little while as well.
I spent, I think it was 4 years there, and it was wonderful. I actually started off, the first project I got was called Up to the Minute. And it was a shorter format of what you guys are doing here, but basically it is what it the title was informing people of what's going on or at the school, the community, and they were videos that would air. And that's kind of what really got my feet wet, because I learned how to edit them myself. We would shoot them in the studio, but over time I got the chance to go out on shoots and turn up to the minute that way. We got to do stuff at the rodeo. So that's how that started. And then it evolved because, as you know, there was so much programming, so many different types of shows at HCC. So I got to host the Hype. Just another awesome opportunity for students to come all over and really learn how to become journalists and also cover the different news going on at the colleges, because HCC is such a wide system. And then I got to host Is It Art Yet? And the fashion shows were probably one of my favorite parts. So just wherever I could get in, though. I mean, during the day, whether it was running teleprompter or helping to shoot something or run a camera, just whatever it is that I could do to help, I was able to do that there.
Well, you certainly learned a lot. You make us proud. It's interesting because 5 years ago this summer, when I started at HCCTV, I went to some of our graphic artists and some of our folks, and I said, look, I want to do a daily segment, news oriented. And they said, we have these graphics for something we did called Up to the Minute. We haven't done it in a while. So that's where it came from. That makes all the sense. There you go. So there you go, folks.
Full circle.
Yeah, full circle here. So tell us how you wound up at ABC 13.
Oh gosh. Well, so after HCC TV, I got my first job in news in 2014. So I worked at KHOU first, and I was there for a few years. And it's funny because I found out about the digital producer position from a woman that I met at a fashion show. I had never been a digital producer before, but I had done some freelance writing for some publications in town. So I was trying to build a portfolio that way because I was really into covering society events and galas and things like that. And that gave me an opportunity to do that. So she sent me a link, honestly, and she was like, you should apply for this. And I was like, okay, let me try it. So I did. And I think things have just been really rolling ever since. It's just been really awesome here.
Well, we're all doing things differently now. And I never thought I'd see the day when news anchors would be anchoring from their homes, on their couches, in their kitchens, But that's what's being done now. And we're doing it at HCC TV with working remotely and delivering our broadcasting remotely. And you guys are doing the things at ABC 13. Tell us a little bit about that experience from your angle.
Sure. I remember it really well. When it started, because the first thing I remember is when the rodeo had to shut down, which I'm sure we all remember that big moment. And then I want to say maybe a week after that, maybe a couple weeks after that, I ended up working from home as well. So I only recently returned to the station. I had been working at home for, I think, exactly 3 months or so, which was obviously a transition. But kudos to my awesome colleagues, because you wouldn't know the difference. You wouldn't know that all of us were at home having to run several different programs off of laptops and still meet the pace of breaking news. You would never know that we were having to do that from home. So that's been a big transition. When everything first started really ramping up in March, everyone, as much as you could, was working from home. And then only a few people have just started to come back. It hasn't been a situation at all where it's like everyone return. It's been a very slow process with protocols and everything, as we've seen everywhere. So I've only been back in the building, I guess, for maybe a month and a half, or maybe a month or so now.
What's the experience like working there now? I know the newsroom used to be a lot of camaraderie. You were in meetings with your colleagues, editorial meetings and talking with other reporters in the assignments desk. Now, I imagine social distancing, a lot less people are there. What's that experience like?
Yes, it's exactly what you said, actually. Everything, much like we're doing right now with our Zoom call, that's how it's been. Conference rooms used to be full of people. I mean, a whole lot of us for meetings, not anymore. Now people dial in for the conference calls for the morning editorial meetings, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. Everyone like I said, everything is still efficient. Everyone is still able to talk. We can at least see each other and have a connection that way, even though it's not right in person. That's probably been one of the biggest changes. We are also socially distanced. Like when you watch in the morning, for example, you'll see that the anchors are not sitting next to each other anymore at the desk. You have them in separate places.
Yeah, they're in different studios a lot of times, right?
Sometimes it just depends, or they're in opposite ends of the studio. And that's been ongoing, and it's much the same in the newsroom. We are social distanced. I don't even sit in my old seat anymore because it's a matter of being 6 feet apart. So again, that kind of goes back to not allowing everyone back into the newsroom at the same time because there simply wasn't the space. So those have been some of the biggest changes.
Brittaney Wilmore, digital producer for ABC 13 and former HCC student. We appreciate you joining us this morning and taking some time out of your schedule.
I appreciate you guys so much.
It's good seeing you, Brittany. We'll see you again sometime soon.
You too. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Love you, B-Dub.
Love you. Love you, B.
It's a love fest here on Up to the Minute with the tale of two Brittany's. Well, thanks again, Brittany. We're going to move across town to HCCPD Chief Greg Cunningham. Good morning, Chief. How are you doing this morning?
I'm doing great this morning. Thanks so much. Started early with meetings, so this is my second or third one already this morning, I think.
Well, let me ask you this. Are you guys already in early discussions of what may be happening with this potential rain moving in and a couple of disturbances in the Gulf?
Yeah, so I really wanted to kind of visit a little bit about that, right? We've all been distracted with a lot of things this year. In fact, my daughter sent me a parody off of social media she got the other day, and it was pretty funny, just outlining what 2020 has done. The reality here is that, and that was subduing everything down in the Gulf, right? So we didn't get a lot of rain. It got really hot. Yeah. Well, that's gone now, or at least slowed down enough that we're starting to see activity out there. And this weekend, we've got a pretty serious day of rain coming on Friday and Saturday if the predictions are correct. And there's another storm right behind it that was sitting over the top of Cuba, kind of starting to percolate as well. I really wanted to have this conversation because we've been so focused on other things this year. We really need to pay attention to these storms starting to come in and kind of watch them from a severity perspective, right?
Well, you know, we're all sequestered at home in many cases, quarantining. It's just a matter of, you know, you may think, well, we're already dealing with quarantine. We don't have to deal with storms. And that's certainly not true in this case because this is hurricane season and we're in the midst of it right now.
Well, and everybody's trying to limit their going out, right? So if you do like I do, you go shopping and you buy a bunch of stuff and then you use it until you darn near have the heels of bread, then you go back to the store again, right? So it's really about kind of cycling this and recognizing that, you know, maybe you need to keep some extra supplies around and be prepared to lose power and those kind of things.
Well, it's certainly something to not necessarily be overly concerned, but to be aware during this time of year and to keep an eye on things, watch the weather reports. And I know HCC is also very good about emailing our folks to let them know conditions or things they need to watch out as well. So they should look for emails from our administration as well.
Well, emails and also some text messages. If it gets really serious, we'll start reaching out to you guys like we normally would if you were, you know, at school and in classes.
But this wouldn't be affecting that in this situation, but it could affect possibly the COVID testing sites and the food distributions, which are currently going on across the district.
Yeah, absolutely. And by staying aware of that stuff and just kind of watching it, it'll help you make sure that the services you need, you get them when you need them, right?
So, Chief, I want to ask you about a few things we've been discussing over the past couple of months. One of them, you know, it seems like in certain areas of the country, there is still a lot of violence and protest happening. What's your take on that? And it looks like there are some cases where the federal government is jumping in to try to at least try to restore calm in some places.
Yeah, it's really obvious that there are parts of the country, thank God Houston has really managed it well, but there are some parts of the country where we've got what I would consider professional demonstrators that continue to turn up the community. They're talking about sending in federal government and have actually tried to do that in a couple of cases. bear in mind, a lot of the local governments are trying to hold the federal government out. But the reality is this thing has been going on. I mean, you look at, you look at up north in it's Seattle, I think, right? So that thing's going into their 5th, 6th week, and they're needing to do something to get control back. So I don't know that the feds are the answer, but we need to find something that works so that we can get ourselves back in a situation where people can be safe.
Chief, you're also hearing, and we've discussed this before as well, that several cities and counties across the nation are starting to vote to defund at least parts, if not half or all, of the police force. How do you maintain justice when you're defunding the police force?
Well, and you know, again, so personally, because I'm in the profession, I'm going to tell you that's a giant mistake. Now, a lot of the work the police have been asked to do over the last several years is work that they weren't designed to do, right? Taking care of the homeless and intervening in domestic arguments, those kind of things. We've trained as best we could, but the bottom line on the deal is those assignments really probably shouldn't have been police from the get-go. So if they're going to take some of that load away from police and begin to direct those funds to those organizations that need to step up, I don't have as much heartburn. But the problem is most people aren't looking at how bad some of those situations get. When they're calling 911 because they're involved in a domestic argument that's gotten out of control, sending a civilian or a clinician to solve that problem, I don't think that's going to be as successful as everybody is hoping. So my concern is that we don't get some of these programs in place only to find out that they're going to fail because you still need police to do the initial interaction and get this scene safe before you bring those people in.
Chief, you also brought up something that we've discussed as well, and it's certainly one thing we want to let our viewers know is there have been cases of domestic violence rising across the country, but there's help out there if you are an HCC student, administration, or faculty. We still have counseling services that are available online for our community, and there's help out there, and you shouldn't, even if you're in a quarantine, as you've mentioned before, you shouldn't be living in a violent situation.
Yeah, so you're spot on. Excuse me. You're spot on, Todd. And our counselors, I mean, you know, we're still running meetings and kind of conducting normal business. So please, if you feel like you're in a situation that you're uncomfortable with, be it domestic violence or be it any other issue, I'm really going to encourage each and every one of you to reach out to your counselor, just like you would if you were coming to class every day, or if you're a faculty member, as you would reach out to your HR reps. Excuse me, and those folks, because they're there, they're ready, they're available, they've got great resources, and we've really done a lot to develop those resources during COVID, right? Because of the challenges, we've really got a lot of options for these folks to use.
Chief, we're getting ready to head into the fall, and the college has announced 4 different modalities that we're going to be offering to students. Anything you'd like to get across to our community as we look at possibly returning in some shape or form? I know there's a lot of uncertainty out there right now.
Mm-hmm. Well, and you're absolutely right. In fact, one of the meetings I was on this morning was that discussion. So the 4 different types of modality is totally online. It's a hybrid where you come to class maybe half the time and you do it online half the time. And I'm not going to tell you what the other 2 are because I can't remember.
There's lab-based courses and online anytime, online with a schedule as well.
There you go. Campus. So what begins to happen as we start to come back is I need our faculty, students, and staff to, you know, kind of remember what coming to physical environments was about, right? I'm not really sure how parking and all of that stuff's going to be managed, and we'll get you updates on that as that really kind of comes together. But I suspect all of the reserved parking issues will probably not be issues because it seems silly to keep a parking space open if somebody's not coming, right? So some things may change from that perspective, but please do me a favor. Get up now on the system. Let's register your car. Let's get a parking permit, whether you're a student or a faculty member, because this year that's going to be a bigger deal, right? Make sure that all of your documentation is in place and you're ready to go.
You brought up a good point to end with. You forget about signing up for parking again, but that is going to be very important as we head into the fall. Chief, it's always good to visit with you on a Wednesday. We'll keep in touch with you, and hopefully by this time next week, we'll have some more updates on the weather situation as that passes through. But Chief, thanks for being here.
Thank you, guys. I really appreciate you. Have a great Wednesday. Enjoy the rest of the day.
Thanks, Chief. All right. Well, Brittany, we're back to your Brittany, our Brittany here at HCC. It was good to visit with one of your old cohorts, former colleague, Brittaney Wilmore. She sure is doing some good things over there at ABC.
She is, and I'm so incredibly proud of her because, one, she's a wonderful person. I mean, she's so kind, so thoughtful, puts others before herself, and she's very passionate about whatever it is she puts her mind to. And, you know, hopefully you'll watch this. I know you had to get back to work, but hopefully you'll see this. Loved having you on the show. It's great seeing you talk about your time here at HCC and to see all the great things that you're doing in broadcast journalism. So love you. So proud of you. Can't wait to see you again and have dinner at Artisans one day.
All right. We'll look forward to hearing about that. Give us a report on how that goes with the dinner with the two Brittany's.
Yes.
So, Brittany, the chancellor sent out a memo yesterday, and we have a new initiative here at HCC, and it's an initiative to try to get some of our former students and those who may be looking to enroll back into the college. It's called Project Bring Them Back.
It's a very unique enrollment campaign that has launched. It doesn't involve student services, but it involves you and me, Todd, and everyone else watching us right now. It's a chance to engage students outside of our traditional roles to share why HCC is the #1 community college and the clear choice to support their educational goals. Now, coming as a former student, I can tell you that HCC helped pave the way for me into my bachelor's degree and then also for my career. So teams of HCC staff members will assist enrollment efforts by making phone calls to HCC students who have not yet registered for fall. I know these are very trying times, everyone. I know that you all have other concerns, but your education shouldn't take the back seat. It's really important to keep striving for your educational goals. So they being us, will be given a target each week until we hit our ultimate goal to not only meet, but exceed enrollment numbers. So HCC is seeking individuals to commit 10 hours a week for 5 weeks to volunteer, check your email for the chancellor's letter with the link to sign up. And then team members will also receive next steps and training.
And you know, Indra Pillais was on yesterday, the Associate Vice Chancellor in Under Enrollment Services, and she was specifically saying from what they've noticed, Brittany, is the students really appreciate that personal touch, because Indra's team has been calling a lot of our students to answer questions, but students seem to appreciate us actually reaching out to them. So I know this is one of the ways that we can try to get our students back and get them back online for this upcoming semester. We were talking about COVID sites earlier with the chief. HCC currently has 4 testing sites that are open. There's 2 at Southeast, the Felix Fraga campus, 301 North Drennan Street, and the Eastside campus at 6815 Rustic. Both Southeast sites are open today, 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. They're open Mondays through Fridays. At those locations, Brittany, there's no appointment required.
That's correct, Todd. Now, the 2 other locations that we are offering are one, the Northeast campus and the South campus. So those 2 locations do require an appointment. They're open Monday through Saturday, 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. And again, you do need an appointment in order to be seen. You can make those appointments by calling the number on the graphic that should be up right now, 512-883-2400.
And I know both you and Brittaney Wilmore were both testifying about the foundation and all the good work they do by providing help to our students to continue on and complete their college career here at HCC. And deadline for the Foundation Scholarship application is coming up very soon, Brittany.
It is. I mean, you heard it from the mouth of Brittaney Wilmore, and I've been talking about this for forever. The difference between going to college and not going to college was changed by the foundation and their wonderful donors. So if you're interested in tuition assistance, everyone, this is open to all domestic as well as international students. You have to be a current student of HCC. So go and apply today by heading over to hccsfoundation.org/scholarships. The deadline to apply is August 31st.
If you're attending classes in the fall, there's enrollment informational sessions that are available. One of them is happening right now. If you missed the one for today, they have them on a weekly basis. You can go register at hccs.edu/information sessions, and you can get information on admissions, testing, orientation, financial aid. Get your questions answered there, and they do want you to attend one if you're going to classes in the fall.
That's correct. It's very crucial, obviously, to have all your questions answered ahead of time. Take advantage of this weekly virtual session with our information sessions. Head over to hccs.edu/information sessions to register for the next virtual information session, because like Todd said, it's going on right now.
Brittany, I'm going to skip ahead to some safe learning options for the fall because the chief was talking about these and I wanted to just briefly go through them. If you're registering for the fall, we have options on how you can take your classes. Option number one is online anytime. This is more or less as it sounds. You take your classes fully online. You can download them and watch them anytime you'd like. The second option is online on a schedule. You like going to class, interacting with your classmates and the instructor. Well, this is the way to do that virtually. You take your classes online at a scheduled time. You do it through a format where you can see your colleagues and your classmates, and you can also interact with the professor. There are two other options as well, Brittany.
That's correct. So the other two are more in-person classes. Now, our Flex Campus, which is more familiar to students as hybrid courses. So you have the choice of whether you want to come to campus to participate in your classes or participate online at a set time. Now, the catch to this, everyone, is that not all classes are probably going to be offered with this option. So it's important to register early to make sure that you have a seat in that class, because section sizes are going to be a lot smaller due to social distancing. The last option is our lab-based courses, which are very critical, hands-on skill labs for all of our students who maybe are studying welding and cosmetology. You know, again, some of those courses may not all be available with the lab-based course. So again, register early, take advantage of the early enrollment, and make sure you have a seat, because once again, class sizes are going to be much smaller to allow for social distancing. So regardless of, you know, whatever option you take for your courses for fall, just know that all students are going to receive the same support from all of these departments: tutoring, student life, career and pathway advising, and much, much more.
That's right. And keep in mind, if you are going to be going to a campus, as the chief mentioned, things are going to be looking totally differently. There will be some screening going into several campuses, and you'll get information on this. In fact, we have a video we're going to be sending out shortly in our social media that'll let you know really what things will look at like on the campuses when you do return. We're asking you to be flexible because things may change according to the CDC, and we will make adjustments as we move forward into the fall as well. So registration is open right now. Make sure you go and register at hccs.edu/now. So that about wraps up the show for today, Brittany. We've got some big guests tomorrow. Should be a good show.
Oh, we do. And I'm so excited about this because one of our guests is actually a former instructor of mine for history, Angela Holder. Cool. She is phenomenal. I mean, she just knows her stuff. And the fact that she helped curate the National Buffalo Soldiers Museum right here in Houston, right across the street from our very own central campus, is awesome. So she'll be joining us tomorrow along with one of their board members and its CEO.
That's right. And they'll be talking not only about what they have in the museum, but as all museums have around the country, they've given you a glimpse behind the scenes, and they're offering things online because of the COVID shutdown. So we'll be talking to them about that and more. All that tomorrow on Up to the Minute. Hope you enjoyed the show today. I'm Todd Duplantis. We'll see you tomorrow at 10 a.m. live.